you Greg Brockbank, our program chair.
Thank you, but save your applause. You'll need it for the really important people here. I am the program chair for the Marin County Bar Association this year, and I would like to welcome our members, guests, including our distinguished sitting judges and our distinguished judicial candidates, whom you will hear from today, attending today's forum. As most of you undoubtedly know, the Honorable Faye D'Opal will step down at the end of the year, presenting us with a rare opportunity for a judicial election for an open seat. As you all also undoubtedly know, usually judges step down mid-term and the governor appoints a replacement, and sitting judges, even recently appointed ones, almost never lose. So this is a truly open seat, which is truly rare. In fact, the last time that occurred was 12 years ago in 2004, that resulted in the election of, ironically, Faye D'Opal. Maybe not. This year's election has attracted 9 qualified candidates. We will hear directly from the candidates about why they are qualified and what each will bring to the bench. By the way, many of them brought literature which will be available on the table out front at the end of the lunch. I would now like to acknowledge our sponsors. Our annual MCBA programs and events cannot be done without the support of these annual sponsors. So thank you to our silver level sponsors, Bill DeZenzo from Telnexus and Starla Cooper from Cal Pacific Reporting. Our bronze level sponsors are Bank of Marin, Foley and Lardner, Williams and Gumbiner, and Ayanna Jenkins Toney. A special thank you to the Community Media Center of Marin, who is taping this program for our public to view. And finally, this is Professional Administrators Recognition Day. So thank you to our paralegals, office administrators, and assistants for supporting us. We applaud you. Yes. By the way, speaking of whom, Jennifer Page from the Ragiani Freitas firm will be the new incoming Marin County Legal Professional Association president. A few program reminders for upcoming events. Our May general membership meeting will be on May 25th at Sanderfeld Joe's, and our speaker will be Sean Stephen, who is the Veteran Services Officer for Marin County, who will speak on veterans in the criminal justice system, helping those who have served. On June 29th, we will have our very popular annual review of recent U.S. Supreme Court justice rulings with Hastings Professor Rory Little at the Club at McGinnis restaurant. And next week, on Wednesday, May 4th at 5 p.m., the Marin County Women Lawyers will sponsor a no-host meet and greet of the judicial candidates at Terrapin Crossroads. I would like now to ask you to join me in welcoming to the podium Larry Strick, President of the Marin County Bar Association, who will moderate the forum today.
Good afternoon. Welcome to our, what is really a general membership meeting. And as our custom, we'd like to recognize the sitting judges that have come, and we'd like to thank them. It's Judge James Chu is here, I see. Paul Hawkinson is here. I saw him. He's eating. Jeffrey Howard, Judge Howard. Judge Andrew Sweet. Judge Mark Telemontis. Retired Judge Richard Briner. It's always good to see you. And retired Judge Michael Duffesey. We also have a few electeds from the county here that I'd like to acknowledge and thank for coming. One, my good friend, Kate Sears. Mayor of San Anselmo, another good friend, Ford Green. Andrew McCullough from the city of San Rafael. Andrew, I saw. Nice to see you. College of Marin trustee, don't get up, Wandine Trainer. And Stinson Beach Water District Director, Larry Baskin. I'd like to start by thanking each of the candidates who are sitting here before you for taking the step and throwing their hats into the race. It's a race that demands tremendous time and resources, and I commend each of you, and I actually want to give you my most respect for throwing your hat in the ring, because I think it's a tough thing to do, and I'm sure you've thought about it long and hard, and it's going to be a very difficult decision for all of us in this room when we cast our votes. Those folks are, starting with Otis Bruce, Mike Coffino, Beth Jordan, Sheila Lichtblau, Renee Marcelle, is over here, Tom McCallister, Nancy McCarthy, Nicole Pantaleo, and David Shane. Thanks for coming. The format today is we're going to have each one of the candidates come to the podium and provide you with a minute introduction of themselves. It's going to be, thank you very much, it's going to be followed by two questions, and they're going to be asked to give a 2-minute response to each of those questions, and then a 2-minute statement of closing. But before I invite Otis up, I failed to identify that Damon Conley is here, and thank him for coming. He's a Marin County Supervisor, and Bob Epstein, who is the San Rafael City Attorney. Thanks, Bob. Forgive me, guys. Without stopping at all, Otis, would you like to come up and start? Thank you.
Thank you, Larry, the President of the Board, and membership of the Marin County Bar. My name is Otis Bruce, Jr. I'm a candidate for Marin Superior Court Judge, Office Number 2. I'm honored to be able to be a part of this race. I'm honored by the democratic process, which 8 other of my colleagues who have decided to participate. That's what democracy is all about. But also I'm honored and I respect the mission of the Marin Superior Court to prepare fair access and equal and fair access to the public and lawyers, and to treat everybody with dignity and respect. I have 25 years in this county. I've only had one job as a lawyer, and it's been serving the public in Marin County. I've had one job as a lawyer where I rose to be the president of this bar association. Every step I've made has been a historic mark in this county. And I look at myself as an opportunity for other people who don't have fair access or don't think that they can make it in a jurisdiction like this. And that's what I look at myself as judge, as someone who can show the people that there's fair and equal opportunity in Marin County. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Mike Coffino. I've been a lawyer for 20 years. I grew up here in Marin, and for the past 13 years, I've served Marin as a deputy public defender. As a public defender, I'm the only candidate in this race who has devoted his career to safeguarding constitutional rights, those specific guarantees of individual liberty that make our legal system and our nation great. But this election is about something more than me. It's about an issue of social justice. Most defendants in Marin County are indigent, yet we have no judge in Marin County who ever worked in indigent defense. Everyone who works in the adversary system knows that we require both prosecutors and defense attorneys in order to do justice. To have no judge on our bench, okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth Jordan, and nobody knows better than the people in this room what we need from a judge. We need the most qualified judges that are available, and we need the judges that actually meet the needs of the court. The majority of cases that are filed in the Marin Court are civil and family law cases. I have 30 years of combined experience in both areas, and I believe that I have the professional diversity that will best serve this court and the community. I spent 15 years litigating and trying cases primarily as a partner at Landals, Ripley, and Diamond in San Francisco, doing complex toxic tort, environmental, and pharmaceutical product liability cases. I've spent the last 15 years as a family law attorney here in Marin, trying, litigating, and more recently mediating family law cases. I believe that that's the experience, and that combined with my other qualifications. Thank you.
This is creating a difficulty for those of us who are height challenged. That's okay. That's okay. Will this work like this? Okay. Sorry, I'm just height challenged, so the podium creates its own challenges. Let me know when you're ready. Okay, great. Thank you, bar members, judges, for this opportunity. My name is Sheila Lichtblau. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be running for this seat to be vacated by Judge D'Opal, who has endorsed me for her seat, as well as Judge Lindery and many others. Why? Because I bring integrity, a commitment to intellect, and a broad-based experience in my 23 years of practice. I'm a graduate of UC Berkeley and UC Hastings. When I first got out of law school, I spent the first 5 years of my career actually serving the poor and the disabled. I then transitioned to a major law firm, a nationwide law firm, where I was promoted ahead of schedule to partner and worked on several difficult cases, including class action cases. For the last 10 years, I've been serving the County of Marin as a senior deputy county counsel, and worked in just about every department here in the Superior Court, including conservatorship, probate, civil, and criminal. I currently represent actually the district attorney and the public defender. I'm the only candidate here to have argued successfully in front of the California Supreme Court, and I'm honored to serve here to be your judge. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Renee Marcelle, and I want to tell you that of all of the candidates that are here, only one, and that's myself, has the broad experience that is essential for the court bench. And that means I have done 12 years of real estate transaction work. I was a real estate broker for 20 years, a family law attorney for 24 years, and I was a corporate lawyer for 3 years, and I was a public defender for 3 years. So every sort of practice you could imagine, I have that experience, and I would like your vote for Marin County Superior Court Judge.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tom McCallister. I have the most experience at the highest levels. I have the broadest experience in civil and criminal law, including significant trial practice experience in both areas. My wife and I raise our 4 kids here in Marin to embrace community service like we do. I have already served Marin for 15 years as a deputy district attorney. I have also demonstrated a deep commitment to our community in my personal life over many years through meaningful volunteer service at the ground level and above, all to help our youth in many ways. That's why I have by far more endorsements from current Marin County judges than any other candidate. They know that I am fully capable and fully prepared to continue to serve Marin County as your next judge. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Nancy McCarthy, and I have a website that has a lot of information about my background, which I'd ask you to look at. I'm running for judge because I love the law, and you have to really love what you do in order to do a good job at it. The other reason I'm running is because we need judges who have no bias. We need judges who have no institutional or implicit or career bias. Right now, when you go and you file a lawsuit, you have an opportunity to recuse a judge or not with a 170.3 motion. And when you're looking at somebody who has had a mindset of your opponent for the last 10 or 15 years, you're going to recuse that judge. I'm not one of the camps. We've got the prosecutor camps, we've got the defense bar camps, we've got the institutional defense client attorney camps. I'm not part of one of those camps. I'm a judge who's going to be able to hear matters because people are not going to recuse me with a 170.3 motion. I've represented both sides of legal matters for the last 30 years every day, including last week, not 20 years ago. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nicole Pantaleo, and I'm running for Marin County Superior Court Judge because no one person can affect more people's lives directly in our system of government than a judge. The decision that a judge makes in a case can not only affect the parties involved, but also, at times, the entire community. I was raised with Marin County values here, by this community and by my family. I've spent my career protecting this county and prosecuting some of the most difficult cases imaginable: sex offenders, domestic batters, gangs, and other violent criminals. These cases require a high level of ethics, protection of constitutional rights, litigation skills in the courtroom, and extremely sound judgment. But most of all, they require that you care profoundly about people. My experience and upbringing uniquely qualifies me to serve as a fair, experienced, well-tempered, and respectful judge. I humbly ask for you to vote for me and for your support. Thank you.
I am Dave Shane. My office is in Greenbrae. I stand apart from the other candidates who are fine on this podium because I am the experienced outsider. That's true for three reasons. First, I've been a litigator for 33 years. My practice is not limited to Marin County, but rather all over the Bay Area, the state, and parts of the country. I practice in federal and state courts. I represent plaintiffs and defendants. I know my way around many courtrooms. Second, I am not a government lawyer. I have a private practice. As such, I must find my own clients, develop cases, and try them without the backing of the government. Most of you all are not government lawyers. I come from your rank and your trenches. Third, I'm not a public defender or a district attorney. No one need worry about any bias on my part. I'm a fresh voice. I am an experienced outsider. Thank you.
I'm going to ask each of the candidates the same question. I'm going to start with you, Mike, coming up first to talk. But let me ask it first. The question is, at what point in your career did you make the decision that you wanted to become a judge? And can you tell us if the decision was based on an inspiration of a person, a case, or a social issue?
Well, when I was in college, I took my first political science class in a seminar called the U.S. Supreme Court. And what we did is we reenacted a case that was actually pending at that time before the court. And it turned out to be a criminal case, although at that time I had no interest or history with criminal defense. It was the case of United States versus Socolow, which is a Fourth Amendment case involving the drug courier profile in airports. And although I probably considered myself a liberal at that time, the professor assigned me the role of the Chief Justice, Rehnquist. And it was my obligation not only to research what his life and his judicial philosophy was like, but to try to convince the other justices on the quote-unquote court to come over to my side of the case. And frankly, it was a thrilling experience, and I can't say that Rehnquist was the inspiration for my interest in law. I would probably say more it was Louis Brandeis or Oliver Wendell Holmes. But what I've always enjoyed about the law, and in particular criminal law, is the combination of high principles, ideals that were developed way back 230 years ago by James Madison and other founders, being applied to the ordinary lives of people living today, and the kind of ennobling experience that our law can have on a person who was subjected to the humiliating experience of being arrested and brought into court as a defendant, and my role as a defense lawyer, trying to speak to that person as an intelligent person and try to give them some better understanding of the legal process that's so seriously affecting their life. So when it comes to being a judge, I think what I'm interested in doing is trying to apply the skills that I've developed as an advocate to the more challenging enterprise of adjudicating among competing claims. And I think that my background as a public defender equips me well to do that, because public defenders do a number of things that judges do. They withhold judgment, they know the importance of making decisions based on something other than bias, and they're practiced at determining whether defendants are genuine when they say that they want rehabilitation, something judges are called upon to do every day.
That's a good question. For me, I think that I first wanted to be a judge years ago, but I felt like I was having way too much fun on the other side of the bench. So I delayed even really seriously thinking about it. And it was when I came to practice in Marin County, and particularly when I was doing family law, that it really occurred to me that being a judge was such a powerful and useful thing. I've spent the last 15 years of my practice, as I said, doing family law and helping people basically to resolve disputes that they can't otherwise that they can't otherwise resolve. And in fact, that's been part of my entire practice. And what I found is that I'm a natural problem solver, and whether it be by giving people a voice in court, or whether it be by trying to resolve things through mediation or through settlement, people's problems do get solved. And I see judges as the ultimate problem solvers. For many people, going to court is the absolute last resort for an issue that they simply can't resolve themselves. So I think it's very powerful. And when I watched particularly the family law judges, Verna Adams and Beverly Wood up at the court, I really was inspired to see that their abilities to settle cases and to bring peace and finality to issues in people's lives. I can't say that I was individually inspired by anyone other than those judges. And I think that being a judge is the natural progression for me. And in terms of why I can finally afford to be a judge, my youngest son has graduated college and is in music production school, so that gives me both more time and more resources available to allow me to serve the community. Thank you.
I'm not sure I can say that I wanted to be a judge ever since I was a little girl, but what I can say is that for me, being a judge equates to serving, and I've always wanted to serve. It's something that's been very important to me. It's something that's been instilled in me ever since I was a little girl. My father, who is an immigrant from India, he talked to me about service when I was a little girl. He used to go down to the beaches of Bombay with his father, and he used to listen to the speeches of Mahatma Gandhi talking about service. And that's what he talked to me about. My mother, who is somebody from Puerto Rico, her name's Margarita Sotomayor, she also spoke to me about service. She was a school teacher who served her community. And so growing up, for me, what was really important was serving and how you serve. So when I was in college, I met a man named Justice Frank Newman, who was a champion of human rights, former California Supreme Court Justice, and he and I talked about serving in the United Nations for for human rights, and we did that together. And so when I graduated from law school, service for me was serving the legal community in a legal aid services type of situation. I continue to serve here today as a judge pro tem. I serve as a mediator. I serve in the unlawful detainer clinic with legal aid, and I partner with legal aid as well as the president of the Association of Latino Marin Attorneys, and I'm looking forward to now serving the community as judge. Thank you.
I filled out an application 2 years ago for judge. I did not have an aha moment which made me decide I wanted to be a judge. This evolved over a period of time. I also believe that being a judicial officer is the natural culmination of all of my experience. I do not want to become a judge to be of service. I have been of service my entire life. In Marin County specifically, I worked for 1 year and 1/2 volunteering for free for low-income people. I've also worked on numerous boards, and I have started my own nonprofit, which is an awareness campaign for human trafficking in Marin County. And in addition, we assist people in Nepal who have been trafficked or who are at risk of being trafficked. I believe that with my background serving people, it makes me a better candidate and a better judge, and I believe that it will fully allow me a greater impact than I've already had. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Tom McCallister, and I'm not presumptuous enough to think that I should have been the judge when I was 5 years into my career, or 10, or even 15 years into my career. But over time, I realized that I'm prepared for that job. A lot of people just don't understand what really happens in the DA's office every day. Even lawyers I've talked to don't really understand what happens in that office, but that's where a lot of justice in our community is served. Thousands of cases are referred to our office every day or every year, but only about half of them are filed because we sit around and we talk about the lofty ideals of our society, because that's where the rubber meets the road for our society. That's where we talk about the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, the Eighth Amendment, and due process on a daily basis to decide, have the defendant's rights been honored? Can we prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt? So I've had a lot of training to assess fairness in our system. And I think that training has prepared me well to be a judge. And then I've always realized along the way as time went on that I am committed to fairness and justice, whether it's at the filing stage, at the sentencing stage, or even afterwards. Did we do it right? Did the police do it right? And I've always tried to do that with compassion. And I'd like to thank the folks who've encouraged me along the way. And I see some of them here, Judge Sweet and Andrew McCullough of the San Rafael City Council, Paul Hawkinson, Kelly Simmons. And when this opportunity came up, I called my wife and I called Paul Hawkinson and I said, I think I'm ready. And they said, you are. So that's why I put my name in. Thank you.
For a very long time, I served the community as a member of the Bar Association Board. I served as a judge pro tem, small claims judge. I've pretty much done the gamut of legal service in the community. Legal aid, received numerous awards for my work there. In addition, I've done a tremendous amount of work in the community, starting with the Buck Center and keeping it here and working to do that, spending 27 years on bringing Marin General Hospital back to this community after writing landmark legislation that was passed unanimously by the legislature and signed as urgency legislation. I've done a great deal of work in the community in many, many different regards. I can say safely that my children spent half their life in the hallways of the Social Justice Center doing their homework or then stuffing envelopes for the various causes that I've supported. I believe that I reflect the fabric of this community. I decided to run for judge approximately 10 or 12 years ago and put in an intention to run, but unfortunately my mother became ill and I couldn't do it at that time. Since then, I've sort of observed the court and tried to determine what I could bring to the court that would be better than what I was dealing with. And I have seen a move towards management of cases versus actually hearing matters. I am concerned that I've had to file multiple writs because I've been unable to get a judge to listen to me about things that are really critical issues that I know are right, and they don't have the time. And I feel that it is really important for the community to have an opportunity to have a judge who reflects the entire community, not just the prosecutor community or the defense bar community, but that represents everybody every day, all the time, 365 days a year. And that's what I think I can bring to the position. Thank you.
I'm Nicole Pantaleo, and I don't have a moment in time that I can say that's the moment I wanted to become a judge, but rather a series of inspirations, starting with my family. On my mother's side, my family came here as World War II refugees. My grandfather fought as a partisan fighter against the Nazi occupation in northern Italy, and after World War II, they found themselves behind the Iron Curtain when Italy annexed land to what became Yugoslavia, excuse me. And at that point, they had no rights, and they had to escape. It broke up our family, and in 1951, they were lucky enough to come to this country as war refugees. And my grandparents raised me with an awareness, a social consciousness of what it's like to go through war and not have rights, not have a constitution. Another series of inspiration came from working for Judge Chesney on the U.S. federal bench when I was in law school. And I was assigned to a case for war reparations from World War II. I was also assigned to a series of civil cases and criminal cases. And Judge Chesney still to this day remains one of the most brilliant jurists I have ever met. And she deeply inspired me as well. My fellow prosecutors and public defenders and jurists on the Marin County Superior Court have inspired me for over a decade as I have worked hard to ensure that justice is served in this community. They have worked in partnership with me to make sure that we do the right thing, that we never falsely accuse someone of a crime, that we ensure that people's rights are protected. This is a community that cares about everyone, and I feel so blessed to have served here. And this community has inspired me as well. I grew up here, I live here, and I serve here. That is why I'm running for judge. I love this county.
I'm Dave Shane. I've wanted to be a judge for a long time, and I'll tell you why. Is because when I graduated college, I went to start teaching high school in Nebraska, and very happily was there. And my parents told me I could be whatever I wanted to be in life, as long as I was a doctor or a lawyer. So I had to give up my teaching career, which was really sad to me, because I thought teachers are pillars and leaders and inspirations of the community. Instead, I abandoned all that and went to law school and became a garden variety lawyer. I've done this for 33 years. Though I had reluctance in the beginning, I've grown to love the law because of the diversity of what I can do and who I can help. I've represented huge corporations, Fortune 500 companies. I've represented little people. I've been in Korea when the KIL plane crash, when the Soviet Union shot down that plane. I represented families of that disaster. I've been in Brazil negotiating the price of a DC-10 engine on behalf of Federal Express. I've also been in the heart of Richmond, sitting in rat-infested houses, helping people fight their landlord for putting them in those situations. I've worked with discrimination. I worked with people who get injured in accidents. I worked for a whole variety of different people. And through that, I've learned a lot about what lawyers can do. And I've grown to love the law and really enjoy practicing. When I heard there was an opening to be a judge, I thought this was a great opportunity to once again become a pillar, a leader, and an inspiration in the community. A judge is the leader of this community. It's the face of justice. With my diversity and background, of who I represented, the corporations, the people, I can do that effectively. I've also been in many, many courtrooms and met many judges, and I'm uniformly impressed with how much they know, how good they are, and how fair they are. And I would like to join that fraternity. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to enlighten you about the history of fairness and access in this country. I'm a grandson of a sharecropper at 14 years of age. I didn't see any black lawyers, any women lawyers in Mississippi. I grew up picking cotton. I grew up doing everything that the laborers in Central Valley did. When my defense counsel talking about the indigent, I was an indigent child. I was an indigent person practically when I came to California with the hope and dreams of being someone. I aspired to be a lawyer when I was 14 years of age. When I saw my mother raise 6 kids by herself. I'm the oldest of 6 children. I'm the source of hope and dreams and aspiration for a lot of people around the Bay Area, including Marin County, and some of your clients that you have every day. Most of your clients that you have in Marin County courts look like me. From family law to criminal to civil to business, I see the courts every day. When I came to California, I came in with a dream and a hope of being a lawyer. That was my one goal. And the people who inspired me to be a judge, 15 years ago, George Walker, a criminal defense attorney out of San Francisco, he saw me in the Civic Center. He asked me what was my job up here. I told him I was a prosecutor. He said, "You're probably the only African-American prosecutor here." I said, "Yes, I'm the first in the history of the county." He said, "You should pursue being a judge in this county." He said, I've heard about you in the Bay Area. You have the qualification, the integrity, the passion for justice to be a good judge, and this county could benefit from having someone like you on the bench. I rose to be the president of the bar. I'm the first deputy DA to ever be voted by the private bar to be the president of the bar. I'm proud of the fact that I brought the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court here, Tani Kantel Sakauye, for my passion to go out in the community and be a representative face of you all. She said to me, "You're probably the only African-American or one of few in the county." I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "You're probably the first African-American to be the president of Marin County Bar." I said, "Yes, I am." One last comment. I didn't go run down to the registrar to sign up to be a judge. I started 15 years ago with this passionate drive. And when Judge D'Opal decided she would retire, it was the defense attorneys and the restorative justice community that sent me an email, said, "Now is the time."
There's been a lot of talk about community and being a lawyer in the community, but serving as a judge instantly makes you a public figure. And what do you believe the role of a judge should be in the community? And if you're elected to serve, at what sort of community functions or events should we all hope to run into you? Beth does. I'm sorry. I saw you.
I'm Beth Jordan. That's another interesting question. I think that judges should be leaders in the community. As many of you know, I served as president of the Marin County Bar Association. All told, I spent 6 years as an officer and director in the Bar Association. I regularly volunteer for the pro per calendar up at the court, as well as the settlement conferences in the family law, both the interdisciplinary conferences for custody and the property bench bar settlement conferences. The community is a part of me. I've sat as a judge pro tem at the pro per calendar, and I think that judges need to be visible and part of the community. I imagine I would go to many events to which I was invited, as long as I'm in the list. I think that, you know, judges play an essential role as role models for people, particularly women judges, which we're a little short of right now on the bench, or getting even shorter with Judge D'Opal stepping down. And I think that we need to be leaders. We need to work toward ensuring access to the courts and making everybody who walks into the courtroom feel as comfortable as possible. And to the extent that you can make yourself more human, more accessible, and more approachable by mingling in the community, then I think that's essential. Thanks. But if I do get elected, please invite me around. I'll be sure to attend.
As a judge, I do believe that you are a member of the community, and so community and service as a judge, to me, are things that go hand in hand. The concerns of this community are many. Although we live in a very rich community, we have certain demographics that I believe we really need to reach out to. One are seniors. This community is one in which, and this county is one, which has the highest number of seniors than any other county in the state of California. The other is our growing Latino population. At last count, the census reports say that it was 16%, probably higher with some of the undocumented immigrants out there, and it continues to grow day by day. And finally, we have an obligation to reach out to our youth. We have significant problems with drinking and driving in our youth. And so how can a judge serve their community in this capacity? With regard to the Latino community, I think it helps to have judges and programs and our restorative justice programs that are culturally competent, that make people who come into the system believe that the system is there and it works for them. And it's important to have judges and judicial candidates such as myself who actually speak Spanish, who actually are Latino. It's important for the seniors to know that they have services available to them. We used to have a self-help services clinic that was much broader. It's been, in recent years, diminished. I'd like to see us put some effort into growing that to make it available for seniors. And finally, with regard to our youth, we used to have a DUI court here at the county Superior Court, and that has unfortunately been something that we need to revitalize again, because bringing our high school seniors in to see what DUI court is and to help make those decisions is really important. And I intend to serve in all of those capacities if elected. Thank you.
I see the role of the judge as being very active in the community. I believe that judges should not be isolationists. I believe that they are part of the community. They've been voted by the community. They represent the community, and they need to be part of it. I think judges should go to the legal aid events, pro bono events, bar events. I won not won, but I received the Wiley Manuel Bono Support Award for being an advocate and helping low-income people for over 200 hours. I've also, this past week, and it wasn't because I was running, I was digging dirt and mending soil in Fairfax. The year before, I was digging dirt and mending soil in Richmond. I believe that I can continue that work. Judges wear jeans, and I believe I can continue to do the work that I believe that I was put on this planet to do. And like Beth, I will go to any event that I'm invited to, happily. What is the judge's role? Well, the role is specifically to be a leader in a community and to act with dignity at all times, whether they're on the bench or whether they are in the public realm. And I believe that I have the ability to act with dignity no matter whether I'm digging ditches or if I am serving the community as your judge. Thank you.
Tom McCallister, and I think the judge has to be aware that there is a professional responsibility, that they cannot be an activist. They cannot be wedded to one side or one group, and they cannot have an agenda on the bench. They have to be fair to everyone. Because if you stray from that, that's when the system actually becomes unfair. So I think you have to separate that and realize that you cannot right the injustices of the greater society by misusing your position or misunderstanding it. But that doesn't prevent you from being compassionate as a judge. Judge Wood started the community courts all by herself without any funding at all. Our courts also embrace collaborative courts within the courts. A lot of people don't understand that those even exist. But those are courts that are beyond civil law or criminal law, and they are designed to provide alternatives to incarceration, to address people who have serious substance abuse and mental health issues. Personally, though, you can still be involved. And I intend to continue my extensive and meaningful involvement in the community. I'm the co-president of Swim Marin right now. And what does that mean? Well, it's a swim program. But what am I doing with it? I am actively reaching out to the disadvantaged communities to make sure that those kids have access to this program. And not just access, but real access. We've stripped away financial barriers, language barriers, by providing liaisons to them, and then giving them equipment so that they can participate. So that's what I intend to do, is to continue my already extensive involvement in our community. Thank you.
I must say it will probably be pretty tough to go from being an advocate to being completely neutral. And while I do that when I'm judging as a judge pro tem, it's certainly something that requires a completely different approach to some of the community issues where you've been involved as much as I have in fighting for things that you believe are just and are appropriate. However, I believe that there should be more outreach and there should be more understanding of what a judge's role is. And I think that that can be done through having meetings in different communities, even adjuncts to town council meetings, where judges are actually present. I can't tell you how many people have said to me, well, how do I vote for a judge? You know, they don't even know what they want to do. They don't even, may probably not even go to the down ballot to even vote. We'll probably get a good 30% out of, say, the 70% that vote. And that's, I think, a problem, particularly because there are collaborative types of programs that nobody in the community knows about. I've worked with, for a long time, the Canal Community Alliance. I've worked with my church in supporting the homeless. And I intend to continue to do those types of activities that are not activities that are adversary or political, but those where I think that I can make a difference. I have no interest in removing myself from the community. I have many ties in many different programs, and I regularly attend San Rafael City Council meetings, San Anselmo City Council meetings, Ross City Council meetings, because I'm interested to know what's going on. I actually participate in cleaning up the creeks for the Corte Madera Creek, and I'm active in what the flood development program is going to be. So I believe that we need to have some more outreach so the people in the community actually have an understanding of what the role of a judge is and what the opportunities they have, and that they shouldn't be fearful of going to court when the time comes, but they should know that they're going to get justice. Thank you.
I'm Nicole Pantaleo, and I really believe the role of a judge in the community is to be a good role model and to be fair, accessible, and inspire the youth, inspire our citizens, educate the public about the court, the alternatives that we have. Our alternative justice courts are outstanding in Marin. We have some of the best in the entire Bay Area. Teach people about what we're doing. Let them know how hard the courts are working for them. Let them know how they can access the court. Let them know that we're doing mock trial with youth, that we're to have legal aid, that they can too have access to our court system. And the judges are public figures. That means that people will talk to them. And besides attending our bar events and events that are in the legal community, which are very important, we do as well have to be involved with promoting more diversity within the law. This means outreach to schools and universities, particularly in underserved communities. Also, it means to be involved with nonprofits. I'm involved with the Rotary Club of San Rafael, and Rotary clubs throughout Marin do an amazing amount of work. And the Seroptimus International of Marin County, who also do an incredible amount of work. Throughout my life, I've been involved with scholarship programs. Why? Because scholarships help put me through school, as well as thousands of kids. And as a judge, you have the ability to help kids get through school, to inspire them to be lawyers, to inspire them to become judges, and to have access to our legal system. That's what I would do as a judge. Thank you.
I'm still David Shane, running for judge. Let's face it, judges are rock stars. They're rock stars to lawyers. They're rock stars to the people in the community. It's the upper echelon. I play basketball, and my goal would be in the NBA. This is like being in the NBA to be a judge. When Justice Scalia died, he died on that. He was in Texas at that rancher's place giving a speech, and the New York Times published kind of an expose that detailed how often those Supreme Court justices are on the road giving speeches. They're giving speeches all the time. I think it's like 3 out of 4 weekends they're on the road giving speeches. And that's because judges are important. They're pillars of the community. They're the face of justice, and they're a chance for people to interface and find out what really goes on with the judiciary. I would think that would be an awesome opportunity, and I'd welcome it. I've been practicing for 33 years, and the number of times anyone's ever asked me to speak anywhere is almost zero. No one cares what I have to say. I would love it if people actually wanted to have me speak. And I promise you, if you let me judge, I will speak anywhere and anytime. I will go to schools and talk to kids about what the implications are of crime, of DUIs, of straying from the path. I'll go to senior citizens and talk to them about concerns they might have about protecting themselves and not being so vulnerable. I'll go with impoverished youths and the disadvantaged and talk to them about opportunities that are out there rather than straying towards crime. I think a judge is a public figure, and they can do a lot to help this community. And if I'm a judge, I'll be out there often. And my wife is also very excited about the party scene. She's looking forward to it. So thank you very much, and I appreciate this opportunity. I really do.
Well, thank you. That's a good question. It's a question that most of you in this room already know me for being an agent for change, an agent for teaching and mentoring students, not only in Marin County, but the Bay Area. I'm the only candidate of the nine people on this roster here who have committed themselves to community service as a public interest lawyer who just happened to be a DA from the time I came to Marin County in 1986. I raised 3 of my 5 kids here in Marin for 20 years. They went to the middle schools and the junior high schools in this county. And from day one, I wanted to make a difference here. I've been the president of my homeowner association in 1998. I've been in Rotary since the early 2000s, and I'm back in the Rotary again. I've actually started founding board members of the Margarita Johnson Senior Citizen Center in Marin City. I mentor kids from the private school, Marin Catholic, Branson, Marin Academy, all those schools. I mentor kids to Davidson Middle School every year for the last 5-6 years. I've done a lot with youth, and I pride myself on that because a judge is someone that actually is supposed to be fair and looking at things down the middle. But your ability to impact the justice system where it doesn't conflict with your ethics, where it doesn't conflict with your judicial temperament, your passion for justice, you are supposed to be out in the community. I've been out in the community from day one. And as I indicated, I've been on the College of Marin Foundation Board, the Margarita Johnson Senior Citizen. I was a head coach of Novato Pop Warner. I did some work with the Marin Office of Education School Redistrict Organization. I did some work I'm on the Marin Symphony Board, and I was the founding director of the North Bay Children's Center. Anything that's related to service above self, which is a Rotary motto, I believe that a judge should be about service to the community, service to the justice system, service to the rule of the law above their personal self. Thank you.
Judges are not politicians. It's not their job to please people. Their job is to please only the law. And in pleasing the law as a judge, you often make a lot of people unhappy. And you have to be free and feel free to make your decisions regardless of public opinion or outside pressure. And in this, I think that judges and public defenders have a lot in common. Our clients, as criminal defense lawyers, are unpopular people. But like judges, we have to apply the law to their situations regardless of what people might think or public displeasure or public opinion. And, you know, it's interesting that running for judge requires a set of political skills that really are at odds with what's required to actually do the job of being a judge. And I think it puts all of us in a strange position of acting like politicians in order to get this job. But as I said, I don't think that being a judge is about pleasing people. It's about pleasing the law. Now, the hardest thing about being a judge, as far as I can tell, is making tough decisions. But no lawyer makes tougher or more consequential decisions than a criminal defense attorney. I have been in the position of having to decide whether to call my client as a witness to testify in a homicide trial in his own defense. The decision whether to have a client give up their right to trial and plead guilty or risk it all at trial is a profound decision. And you know, even a misdemeanor case can contain significant consequences for people, especially in immigration. Now, as a judge, what I try to employ is what I consider a discourse model of adjudication. If you ever listen to Supreme Court oral arguments on the internet, what you hear is a conversation between the justices and the lawyers that's designed to probe the soundness of their arguments and test for weaknesses. And as a judge, I would try to use that model in my courtroom to arrive ultimately at a correct result.
At this point, we're going to invite each of the candidates to give a 2-minute closing, if you will, and talk to you about why they want to be a judge or why they need your vote. So, David, I'm going to ask you first because no one's asked you before. Come on up. You can start with this one.
I know. That really isn't fair. I'm used to being last, and I have a lot more time to prepare for what I'm going to say. So, but I'd be happy to talk about that. I've been a lawyer for a long time. I really have enjoyed it, though I had misgivings in the beginning. I really enjoy it. I think it's time, after 33 years of doing this, to go to another level. I know the law. I understand the law. I understand the different complexities that are involved. I've represented huge corporations. I was national counsel for Airborne Express, DHL, and Federal Express for many years. I also represent poor people who get in trouble with the law, who have issues that they can't possibly deal with, that don't have any understanding. I know all sides of what happens, and that's where I bring diversity to the bench, is that I've done this for a long time. I know what's going on. I understand the system, and I can sit on the bench and look at these lawyers and understand what their concerns are, what the client's concerns are, and what needs to be done to move forward. The lawyer, what a judge does is decide cases. They apply the law, but they listen to the facts and circumstances and make intelligent, reasoned decisions following the law. This is something after 33 years of practicing I can do, and I can do fairly. I talked earlier about the fact that I'm not a government lawyer, that I'm on private practice. Most lawyers are in private practice. It's hard to be in private practice. This is a tough business. It's not easy. And so when I sit on the bench and I hear lawyers come in there, I remember when I first started, judges were just terribly mean. They were just awful people. And that doesn't, I don't know, I hope there's no judges out there from back then. But it was a much harder profession. There's much more understanding. And I think that's what I would bring is I understand mean judges, nice judges, and it's important for everyone to get along in congeniality. So I would have a very good courtroom, a very open courtroom, and one that applied the law fairly because I've seen all sides. And I want to thank you for this consideration. I think it's amazing that one of the 9 of us will become a judge. It's kind of like the game of Survivor. So we'll see what happens. Thank you very much.
I was raised in Marin County. I live in Marin, and I have served my entire career protecting this county. I was raised with the Marin values that we all cherish. Social responsibility to care about what happens to one another, the environment, our children, and justice. I'm proud to be a first-generation Italian-American, graduate of USC and UC Hastings College of the Law. My family came here as World War II refugees, and they came here with nothing but a dream. And they achieved it. They opened Cafe Trieste in San Francisco and Sausalito. And my family instilled in me an extremely high work ethic. And they instilled in me values for social justice and equality and rights. I learned that as a child and carried it with me into my practice throughout my entire career. I dedicated my life to keeping Marin County safe. I prosecuted sex offenders, domestic batters, gang members, and other violent criminals. But I also collaborated within the criminal justice system to find alternatives to incarceration for those that are suffering from mental illness and from drug addiction in our outstanding alternative justice courts, particularly Star Court, Adult Drug Court, and Domestic Violence Court. I've litigated many cases, done dozens and dozens of trials, hundreds of hearings. After years of making tough, life-altering decisions in cases that profoundly affect victims, defendants, and the safety of this community, I'm ready to serve as your judge. I promise to treat all parties with respect and dignity, be fair to all sides, find alternatives to incarceration when appropriate, and ensure that the rule of law protects us all. I ask for your vote and your support. Thank you so much.
First, I want to thank all of the candidates because I have to tell you, you sort of get tired of hearing yourself talk about yourself after doing a number of these events, and I give them all a great deal of credit for running. And I want to thank all of you for coming. I've come from a long line of women who believed in justice. My grandmother came here when she was 15 years old and from Russia alone. And when she was 30, she was being robbed by the local merchant. She paid $5, which by that time was probably $2,000, to Mo Cove, who had just gotten out of his law study, to go to court and to fight the people who were robbing all the immigrants, and they won. My mother went on to testify in the 1959 McClellan trials, risking her life in order to obtain fairness for herself and her family. She walked into a parking lot wired for sound to assist the FBI stop corruption. I understand what it's like to look for fairness, and I've done that for 30 years of practicing law and representing both sides of every possible type of litigation you can imagine. I'm here today because of what I said at the beginning. We need to have somebody who's not another prosecutor. With all due respect, and judges, I hope you don't hold this against me, I think that we need somebody who is not another prosecutor. We've already got 6 of them on the bench. We need somebody who represents both sides. We need to know that when we walk in to file a new lawsuit, that we're not going to have to go, oh, this is a judge, I may have to recuse because my client was on the other side of this. I was never on the other side. I'm not in one camp or another. I will not be recused, and I will be able to be, I believe, a productive and a fair judge, and I do hope you'll consider voting for me. Thank you.
So once again, I'm Tom McCallister, and I can't possibly tell you all about myself in 2 minutes. So please visit my website, tommccallister.com, 2 M's, 2 C's, 2 L's. I have already served Marin County for 15 years as a deputy district attorney, seeking justice for victims of violent crime and fraud. Before that, I had a long career as a civil trial attorney for both plaintiffs and defendants, as a solo practitioner and with small and large firms. I practiced in many areas, including securities arbitration, real estate, contracts, employment discrimination, family law, complex torts, and even white-collar criminal defense. And by the way, I know what it's like to work hard and then have to collect fees and costs. My wife and I have been married 22 years, and we have 4 kids, college, high school, middle school, and grade school. We understand the issues that face our youth and our society. I have coached both boys and girls, many teams, many sports for many years, and I'll continue to coach my little girl, Riley, in basketball next season. I have served on boards. I have coached mock trial with Judge Wood. I have run the summer intern program in our office, and more than that, I have reached out to the disadvantaged to offer opportunity and scholarships to ensure access to these programs. I am known to be honest and fair and diligent and hardworking from the beginning to the end, and no matter what I do. That's why the judges endorse me. They know what it takes to be a judge, and that's why they want me to join them in serving this county as your next judge. Thank you.
I agree with Mr. McCallister. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute, this is not enough to really say who I am. So I'm going to take the time to go ahead and mention a few more things I forgot. I was in Rotary for 8 years, Terra Linda 4, and Sausalito for 4. I didn't just join, like last year or 2 months ago, organizations in order to have them look good on my resume. I have been of service since the moment I hit Marin, which is since 1989. I'm a member of a Marin City church. I was at the flood control meeting in San Rafael last week. I didn't see Nancy. I was at the Ross flood control meeting. I didn't see Nancy. And I was also at the San Anselmo one. So you're looking at a person who walks the talk. And that's one thing that I think is really, really important, is that we need some person who has the ability to distinguish between true and false. And while I'm up here, I do want to give a shout out to Judge Duffy, because he was the one who started the drug and alcohol court some 20 or so years ago. And that was really an important development. I also want to give a shout out to Kelly Simmons, who has started the outreach type program, and recently she was honored because she had this program where she brought in a bunch of students from Marin City and basically showed them all of the opportunity that's available for employment at the court. And I think that we need to continue that, and I would very much appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Intellect and experience, integrity and temperament, and professional and personal diversity of experience. These are the things that I think are so important to serve as a judge. For me and my part, I'm a graduate of UC Berkeley, UC Hastings, 23 years of experience. When I worked for a law firm, a nationwide law firm in San Francisco, I was elevated ahead of schedule to become partner. I was the only partner at that time. I was lead attorney on class action cases, lead attorney on several cases, and I tried cases to verdict there and now at the county counsel's office. For the past 10 years at the county counsel's office, I've had the pleasure of serving on a wide variety of matters, from taxation, civil rights, discrimination. I argued successfully in front of the California Supreme Court. I have several published decisions on a wide variety of matters, constitutional issues, discrimination, tax. With regard to not just experience, but temperament, it's really important that you have a judge that has the temperament to serve. In that regard, a couple of years ago, I went through the Jenny process. As part of the Jenny process, I'm sure all of you know, postcards are sent out to everybody to ask how you are, what you are, how people view you and your temperament. And I am very honored and pleased to say that I received only positive experiences from this community. Many of the people who are supporting me, many of the attorneys who are supporting me, are in fact opposing counsel, not just in the past, but currently. And finally, let's talk about professional and personal diversity of experience. I am the only candidate here who has spent several years serving the poor and disabled, who's also worked and served and represented Fortune 500 companies, schools, small and large businesses, and also the government. I bring a diversity of experience that is so important. Justice Sonia Sotomayor has said that really mastery of the law is insufficient without an understanding as to how it affects the lives of everybody. And so you need somebody with the broad-based experience that I would bring. And finally, I think it's important to note that in the history of Marin County Superior Court, there has never, ever been a woman of color on the bench. I would serve a new role here for you. Thank you.
Beth Jordan. Thank you all for your attention today. I know this has been a long program, and I appreciate you're all sticking through it. I started my opening statement talking about my professional diversity and the 30 years of experience that I've had practicing law, both in family law and civil litigation. Over the course of my career, I've tried cases in federal and state court and litigated cases of all sizes. I've represented individuals, both as plaintiffs and defendants, as well as small businesses and very large corporations. I was lead counsel for Abbott Laboratories in a pharmaceutical products liability case, and I tried an Endangered Species Act case, to name just a few. Throughout my career in the private sector, I've earned the highest peer review ratings available from Martindale-Hubbell and which is a preeminent rating, and I'm routinely designated as a super lawyer, also by peer review. That's you. I also have had an AV rating from Martindale-Hubbell for over 20 years. And also throughout my career, I've earned the respect and of judges, opposing counsel, clients, and many other members of the community. As I indicated, I was elected president of the Marin County Bar Association and served 6 years in that organization. I was also appointed 2 years ago to serve as on the Family Law Advisory Commission to the State Bar's Board of Legal Specialization, and that service continues today. I received my BA in Political Science from UCLA, summa cum laude, despite the fact that I had to work to put myself through college, and I graduated from Bolt Hall School of Law at UC Berkeley. Equally important for a judge is the personal diversity that she brings to the court. I believe that we're all a composite of our life experiences. And for me, that includes being the first person in my family to graduate college, being a woman, being a mother, being a single mother, and being a small business owner and knowing what it's like to have to pay the rent and fire employees and hire employees. My life experience has exposed me to people from all educational, socioeconomic, and religious backgrounds. I consider it both an honor and a privilege to serve this community as a judge, and I hope you'll support me. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for having us here. When Janet Reno was Attorney General, she commented that the legitimacy of any criminal conviction depends on there having been vigorous defense of the accused. And without that, you can have no confidence in the soundness of a conviction or the validity of any sentence that might result. Now, to extend that argument just a bit, I believe public confidence in the integrity of our justice system likewise depends on having judges from varied criminal law backgrounds. Now, we have wonderful judges here in this county, but we don't have that. We don't have judges from varied criminal law backgrounds. And my experience as a public defender will enhance the quality and diversity of our bench. Now, the public defender system largely came about 50 years ago as the result of a handwritten cert petition written in a prison library and sent to the U.S. Supreme Court by Clarence Earl Gideon. His lawyer, who was appointed to represent him, Abe Fortas, kept copies of correspondence between Earl Gideon and Abe Fortas. And one of the letters said, Earl Gideon said, quote, "Every era sees an improvement in law for the betterment of mankind." And that inscription actually is on Earl Gideon's grave. Well, this is a new era in Marin County. It's been 39 years since a judge was last appointed here who had public defender experience. That's the Honorable Richard Briner, who's here with us today. We need an improvement here in the law of our court system. It's time that we joined every other Bay Area county in recognizing that a well-rounded bench includes judges who spent their careers devoted to safeguarding the constitutional rights of individuals. That's why I'm running, and that's why I'm asking for your vote. Thank you very much.
Otis Bruce for Marin County Superior Court Judge, 2016. The Bay Area is watching Marin County as we speak today. This is a historic moment. I have the superior qualifications, I have the lifelong community service, I have the judicial temperament, and I have the integrity to be the next Superior Court Judge in Marin County. I have 5 children. My oldest son is 33, my next son is 30, my next son is 27, my daughter is 23, my little boy is 15. I understand youth, I understand young adults, I understand young professionals, I understand what it means to see those individuals have to come to my courtroom and have the lawyers advocate about their interests and their rights before a judge. What it would mean to have superior qualification. 25 years of serving this community as one prosecutor. I've always considered myself a prosecutor with a conscience. I'm not your typical prosecutor. A prosecutor is someone who has the ultimate influence in the courtroom. The justice ball does not roll until the prosecutor makes a move. I always took that job very, very serious from the very first day I came here. I chose to be a prosecutor as a public interest lawyer because I wanted to know how things are dealt with from the inside out. And I've learned. I've got over 40 jury trials. I've appeared in every courtroom in the Civic Center. I'm the only attorney at this panel. When you walk through the security gate, I probably shake 15 hands before I get to my courtroom because I'm a real people person. I care about justice. I care about human rights and civil rights. I care about due process rights because that's the role of a judge, to interpret the law fairly, equitably, make sure the lawyers are not fret to come through their courtrooms. The lawyer who's advocating for a cause is going to feel that they're going to have an equitable and fair opportunity to represent their litigants, their clients. And integrity, I learned that from my grandfather. I learned to be passionate. I learned to be fair. I understand what it means to serve everybody, justice above all. Thank you. Vote for me.
I'd like to thank each and every one of the candidates for all your comments. It's making our decision very, very difficult. I also would be remiss if I did not thank Kathy and Mimi for helping putting on this event, which is never easy. And we got you out of here almost exactly on time. So thank you for coming, everybody.